has been there with us. And it's always a pleasure to listen and to learn from our judge, Mr. Mike Vandeventor, all the way from Cape Town, South Africa. So, Mr. Mike, you can take it on, please.
Yes, thank you so much, Justice. It is always such a pleasure to join with you. I always just wish it were in person. I still think back to when you speak about Kasese and Barara and Kampala, to the time we were there together. And that is always such a privilege to spend time with you guys. And even though it's just over Zoom and we can't really see each other, I'm happy to be with you this evening. Now, as I was sitting down, waiting for the call to start, my thoughts went back. Last Saturday evening, this time, we were sitting on the banks of the Zambezi River at the Royal Livingston Hotel. There was a string quartet playing soft music. We had a wonderful dinner as PTs. That was the annual PT holiday, the Diamond Lifestyle event. And if I had to try and tell you what we experienced there, I could talk the whole evening. The Sunday morning, some of us flew with a microlight over the falls. Some of us flew with helicopters over the falls. So, you know, those are the kind of things that even if you got to Victoria Falls on your own, you'd probably not be able to afford that. And that is so wonderful about the company, the lifestyle it gives us, the VIP treatment. You know, on a trip like this, all we had to do was to make sure to get packed and get to the airport. Everything else was done for us. Our flight tickets, our travel insurance, the accommodation, everything that happens there. Now, if I think further back, last year, this time, we were in Barcelona. And those of us who were there were speaking about this while we were in Victoria Falls at Livingston. And we said that was probably one of the most wonderful events we've ever had. And then in between, we've been to Istanbul. Now we're looking forward to Mauritius. And next year, this time, we can look forward to Paris in France. Now, I'm telling you this because when we were new 40 years ago, and I heard of people traveling and people doing things like this, I honestly thought it would never happen for us. I really didn't think we would ever get to a point where this kind of lifestyle would be part of our experience in the business. In fact, I never even thought that we would be in the business this long. I didn't think about quitting or anything. I just didn't realize that this was something that was going to change our lives, the course of our lives, and give us a new life that would take us 40 years down the road. The interesting thing is our uplines, Charlie and Alta Bolton, this year they're celebrating their 50th year in the business. With us at Victoria Falls were Rory and Nola McDermott, 49 years in the business. And so there are many other people even longer in the business than we are, apart from those that I've mentioned. But it never occurred to me that that would be the way this small little thing started for us. You see, we started just so that my wife could still sell some Super 10 and LDC and G1 and make us a little bit of extra money. I never thought it would be a career. I never thought it would become as big as it is. And, you know, for somebody who loves traveling the way I do, what I've mentioned to you is really exciting because that's just some of the travels, just in the last year or so. The fact is that this business opens up opportunities that when you are new, you could possibly not even see, or if you could see them, you might not believe that it's possible for you. Now, I'm here to tell you that it is, provided, let's say two things, provided that you stay and not quit somewhere along the way. Many people do. And provided that you're willing to learn and change where you have to, learn the skills, and continue working. The fact is, it's a very simple business, as you will have seen. But it's not easy. It's not easy because in life, success is not something that happens to us. In no area of life does success just happen. We've got to make it happen. And that's why many people in my 40 years in Neolife, I've seen that, and you may even have experienced something similar, where many people who join Neolife just never succeed. They go for a little while and then they give up. Some don't even, some start and they don't even try. That's something I can never understand. But the fact is that Neolife can give you the success that you may not even be able to dream of. And I want you to hold on to that, because that has been my experience. We got much more out of Neolife than I even thought was possible. Or even if I was thinking that it might be possible, I just couldn't believe that any such thing could happen for us. Now, what this event in at the falls just reinforced with me is how successful Neolife is. Because the people you saw at that event, and there were many who couldn't come because of visa problems, show you the absolute success of Neolife in Africa. All over the world, but this was an African event. It is amazing to see over the years, more than 50 years of Neolife in South Africa or in Africa, how we've grown into many African countries and changed so many lives in ways that I don't know what would have happened to people had it not been for Neolife. And that just proved to me again that Neolife works. Neolife is really the best company of its kind in Africa, and I believe worldwide. There are companies bigger than Neolife, but they're not necessarily better. For one thing, no other company has the quality of products that we have. Many companies have similar products, but a vehicle is a vehicle, whether it's a bicycle or a Mercedes. But if you have a bicycle, you can't compete with the Mercedes. Now, it's the same with our business. There are many different such vehicles, but product-wise, nobody can touch us. Infrastructure, the support structures, especially here in Africa, nobody can touch us. Marketing plan is the best possible marketing plan. And that is why Neolife has survived that long. There have been difficulties. You guys in Uganda have some product difficulties at the moment. We have some here as well, not as much as you do. But those things come and they go. And overall, Neolife is a very, very, very successful company. And I can promise you, people have said Neolife isn't going to last. Neolife is ready to quit in Uganda or Kenya. I'll tell you, Neolife will never quit Uganda or Kenya. So the fact is, what we have is we have a vehicle that can change our lives the way it's done for us and for so many other people, including possibly for you as well. But it is what we do with this vehicle, what we do with this opportunity. Because, as I say, success isn't going to happen to you or to me. We've got to make it happen. And that sometimes, actually very often, may require sacrifice. I remember when I still had a job, because I still needed the income from a job. I'd so often be tired when I got home in the evenings. But I just forced myself to not go and sit in front of the TV or just, rest, but to work. Now, that sacrifice has paid off in so many ways I can't begin to explain to you. The fact is, nothing worthwhile is going to come easily. We've got to be willing to sacrifice time, sacrifice energy, sacrifice some of our money. For instance, with a summit coming up now in October, it costs money to go to something like this, but that's actually not a cost. It's an investment you make in your future, but it might be a sacrifice. We were so stunned when we were at Victoria Falls to hear that a very, very dear friend, Moses Klenogo, one of the pioneers of the business in Ghana and Nigeria, passed away. And why I mentioned that is that for Moses to start, he had to sell 2 of his pants and his TV set to be able to start the business. That was a sacrifice. Many people would say, I'd never sell my TV, never get rid of my TV. But what they got from that small little sacrifice, I can't even begin to explain to you. And I mentioned sacrifice, but then hard work. There's no substitute for hard work. There isn't. There just isn't. The beauty, though, is that the hard work you put in the beginning builds a momentum where eventually, when you get higher up in the business, you might not have to work as hard as you did when you began, because you've built up residual income. Now, somebody in a job has to work hard their whole lives until they retire, and perhaps then even after they retire. But in our situation, many of us who are PT and higher could afford not to work. We still do, because we love the business, we love the people. We don't want to do nothing. But the fact is, you can get to a stage where the hard work you put in now keeps paying you year in and year out. You don't have to repeat that same hard work every year. But then, apart from the sacrifice and the hard work, there's something that we call consistency, meaning consistent, day in, day out, day in, day out. Instead of working hard for a week and then 4 or 5 weeks, you do nothing. That kind of inconsistency will be very counterproductive, because remember, we deal with people. And when you make a commitment to people this week, but for the next 4 or 5 weeks, you're just not around, when you come back, those people might be gone, because they were relying on you, they were waiting for you, but you weren't there. I remember Alta Bolton always said, just do a little bit every day. That's more valuable than big pushes and then nothing. So consistency. And then the fourth thing is persistency. Keeping on, keeping on, keeping on. Because you might have experienced it already, that when we deal with people, we can't control the results. I can do the best possible presentation that I'm able to do, and people could still say no. I come with high expectancy. I think these people are wonderful for the business they're going to start. I do a good presentation, and they say no. When that happens, and especially this for the newer people, that is often when people want to, as we say, throw in the towel, give up, surrender. But that is when you need to keep on keeping on. Whenever you have uh, done some work and you haven't had results from that, it's not a total loss, because what you've done is part of your experience in the business. You've learned something which you can use to next time do better than you did before. So never think that your effort that you've put in, if the results aren't there, is wasted effort. It's not. It is building towards the future. It's giving you momentum, provided you're consistent and persistent. Keep on keeping on. Keep on keeping on. That is the key. Nobody becomes a PT or a diamond in this business if they hadn't kept on keeping on. Now, added to that is we must realize that success, as I already said, doesn't happen. We've got to make it happen. That requires sacrifice, hard work, consistency, persistency, because success is the result of a process. Success is the result of a process. I often look at when they build big buildings, how they've got to clear the land, dig deep foundations, pour in the foundations, and then start building. And sometimes it takes years to build a big building. You can build a shack overnight. You can build a shack in a couple of hours, but you can't build a big building overnight. It's a process, and if you skip steps in that process, you're not going to succeed. And with Neolife, it's no different. It's a process which compromises a marketing plan and support and training, in which we need to stay involved. And the way we do that is to keep learning. And there's so much opportunity to learn. The trainings you have, the meetings, the back office, the Zoom meetings. Keep learning, but take the action. Keep taking action, as I've already said, and attend. Like you're attending this meeting this evening. Attending meetings is so important, especially the physical ones where you can see other people, where you can get motivated by what you see happening. And especially something like the summit coming up. Those days it was called a convention. I think it was the company's first convention. It was just after we started. I went in spite of the fact that I couldn't afford to go. And I keep saying that is why I think, well, in fact, I know we're still in the business and all of you are in the business. Because had I not had that exposure of this convention, I might never have seen the big picture and probably would have dropped out like many other people. So it's a process. The bigger you want to go, the longer it's going to take you, and you just need to stay in the process. But then it's very important to understand the heart of the process, the real logic of the process. It's not just selling products. It's not just talking to people and doing presentations. The real heart of the process is to help people to help people through the products, to help people through the financial opportunity. In other words, to empower people, to uplift people, to help people have the success they are looking for and that they might never get outside of Neolife. And that's the very opposite of what I've seen happening in our business, unfortunately, also. And that is people just wanting to use other people for their selfish reasons, which means they'd cheat them, they'd lie to them, whatever, just as long as they get some benefit from them. And that is not how it should be. Our human nature is towards selfishness. Now, in a sense, we need that. We need to protect ourselves and the ones dear to us. But that can become a sick obsession where everything and everybody is just there for us. So we need to learn that if we want to understand this process, we've got to understand, we've got to go from selfishness or from being selfish to being a servant. From selfish to servant, where we work, serve other people, help other people. They're not working for us. We will benefit from what they do, but we need to work for them, help them, train them, support them, guide them. Because as they grow up in the business and they start becoming independent from you, you will benefit from that effort for as long as those people are active in the business. So remember, the heart of our business, this process is built around the idea of selfish to servant. And then I'm almost through. I just want to make this point as well, that we need to take responsibility for ourselves and for where we find ourselves. You know, I listen here in South Africa. You all know that we had apartheid. That was 30 years ago. In the meantime, we have a very, very poor government, and they mess up so much. But one of their favorite things is to blame it on apartheid. Never mind what they could have done in the past 30 years. Everything that is wrong today was because of what was 30 years ago. Now, I'm not saying that there's not some residual effect of that, but that is such a weakness in people or in groups when you can't accept responsibility for what is. If you've messed up, don't blame. Don't look beyond yourself, because then you can never rectify the problem. Because if you blame, it's actually somebody else. It's not you. But in the meantime, it is you, but you won't accept that. And therefore, you can't correct it. And you're the victim. You know, I'm helpless. It's this or that. It's my upline. It's my team, whatever. No, we are responsible for ourselves. It's a difficult thing to accept. You know, if you're broke, why are you broke? Because of the way you've been coming up till now. If your business isn't growing the way you want to, why is that? Well, it's just because you've perhaps not done enough, or what you've done hasn't been good enough. It's difficult to say, but we need to get to this old saying that we grew up with in the business. If it's to be, it's up to me. If it's to be, it's up to me. I am responsible for my life. I'm responsible for what happens in my business. Well, not totally. You can have somebody in your business who messes up, but let it not be you. Because the fact is, what we have to take as our biggest challenge is that to have real success in your life, or in anything else. We've got to get from where we are to being better, and from being better to being good, and from being good to being great. And nobody can do that for us, but we can. And that is why I believe Neolife is such a blessing in our lives. Because Neolife is an opportunity where we don't just get better health and can make more money, but where we can actually grow through the processes and the training and the whole setup of Neolife to come from where we are to where we could perhaps never even imagine being. That's why I said in the beginning, when we were new, I never thought we could be where we are. I never thought we could be doing all this traveling. But just being part of the process, staying in the process, it helps us if we make that commitment to also work on ourselves, maybe even harder than on our business. It helps us to grow from where we are to being better, to being good, to eventually being great. And I believe that is why we are on earth. Not just to survive, not just to try our best and see what happens and hope for the best, but to really live meaningful lives that touch other people, that make the world around us a better place. Because, you know, in the end, the money and the fame and all the luxury we may accumulate doesn't stay with us. The day we die, it all stays behind. But what remains with us, or in the minds of people who know us, is if we had been able to make a meaningful and positive difference in the lives of other people. And that fulfillment, I promise you, is worth more than all the money you can make, all the luxury you can have. Because those things can be very empty if inside you don't have that fulfillment to know that I am leading a good life and I'm doing good, and the day I'm gone, people will have tears in their eyes because I'm gone. You know, they say there are two kinds of people. Those that you're happy to see coming, and then those that you're happy to see when they go. We don't need to be the second kind of person. We need to be the kind of person that would be welcome anywhere and that people would want around. So it's not just the money, it's not just the physical growth, it's also us growing. And I don't know of a better opportunity than Neolife to do that for us. And that's why I'm so grateful to God for letting this opportunity come into our lives. And through us, into those of many, many others, including you. And I just wish that you would gain the insight to see Neolife for what it is, as a gift from God who loves you and wants the best for you. But he's not going to do it for you. He gives you the opportunity, and you and I need to use this opportunity to realize that. So with that, Justice, I'm almost inclined to say end of sermon, because I have been preaching a bit to you. But I think it's important that we have this kind of understanding of what we do. So thank you for the opportunity, and I really look forward to the time that I could be back with you.
Wow, thank you so much, Mike. You know, every single time you share with us your experience, for how long you've been in the business, how many people's lives you've been able to touch, how many times you've been able to travel, the fact that at your age, you're still very healthy, very strong, very energetic. It actually helps to me to paint a picture of actually where we are headed to. So thank you so much. Thank you for being able to show us a very good example. And thank you for loving us. And thank you for mentoring us and nurturing us. And I always want to keep on looking forward to the time one day when we are also turning 40 years, 30 years, in this business. I do
I
not.
hope I'm still around when you get there.
Wow, with God's help, I'm sure that we will be there.
Huh.
Yes. So thank you so much for sharing with us and for taking off your time to